everybody, and welcome to Moms on a Mission. Dr. Jason Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all natural detoxification and fights parasitic conditions due to the food we eat, and it also gives you extra energy. I know it did when I took it. If you go to bravetv.store/mission, you'll save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. Well, our guest today is an attorney and regular American who decided to fight back against corruption. He opened a small law practice, planning with his wife to just watch their children grow. And then the COVID lockdowns occurred, and he realized that the corruption had gone too far. So instead of living a life of comfort, he stepped up to fight back. Welcome to Moms on a Mission, attorney Tom Renz.
I'm super excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming today. So tell us a bit more about who you are and what you do.
So who I am is the most important thing about anything I do, right? And that's because I'm nobody, right? I'm we the people. I'm just some guy. I live in a town of 12,000. I was minding my own business, doing my own thing. I was a patriot. I was a conservative before COVID, but I was actually pro-vax. I didn't have any idea about any of the things that are happening right now. So COVID comes around, and obviously they tell me, I got to be locked in my house without any due process or anything else. I'm like, no, I don't think so. So I start fighting, and I prayed on this, and I felt like it was what God wanted me to do, and so I did it. But at the end of the day, I had this really awesome conversation with a good friend last week, right? And this was I've never really thought about it this way. But they said, you actually helped create the whole COVID health freedom movement. And I thought about it, and globally, and that's actually kind of true, because we started fighting day one, and we filed all of the big lawsuits, like the first lawsuits, all the giant lawsuits. We did all that stuff. And even up to the latest major one, I mean, we got a bunch of them out there, but the latest major one, the EcoHealth case, where we've been able to show that, COVID was created in the lab and this, that, and other. I mean, that's why Fauci stepped down. So the most important thing about my story is that I'm a nobody, right? Because if the nobodies can make a difference, I made a difference. I'm making I'm not nowhere near done. I'm just warming up, but I'm making a difference. And so, that's the number one thing I want people to hear. You don't have to be a big shot. You don't have to be important. You just got to be relentless and fearless and just keep fighting. And that's, I think, what I've tried to do.
Well, I think that's great. And we in America are so grateful for you and all the other relentless fighters out there. And with Moms on a Mission, when that was started, the 3 pillars are educate, awake, and activate. And I think what you touched on, saying that you're a nobody, I think you're right. People think that we have to have a lot of letters after our name or have to have a lot of experience. And that's really not the case. All we have to do is say yes to what God's asked us to do and obey, and then let him anoint those efforts. And the thousands of people that we can reach with just that one yes is truly remarkable.
It is. It's incredible. And the thing about it is, so we have Moms on a Mission, right? So here's what I found. Sadly, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm more than a little in touch with my toxic masculinity, and I'm a little out of touch with my feminine side. I've been told. I don't know. I thought I wasn't, but
surely not.
But when I travel, and at this point, God's been good, and I've traveled so much, I meet these incredible warriors all over. More often than not, it's moms. In fact, by a huge, huge amount, right? So whenever I get a chance to talk to moms, I'm very excited, because the moms are the ones that are fighting. I don't know where the men are. There aren't any. There's 3 left, I think. And I'm really sad to say that. And I hope that I can provide encouragement. I say that, I'm hoping I can shame a few of them into getting off their butts. But, the thing is when I travel around, if I want to find the warriors, I find the mama bears. The mama bears are the ones standing, because when the men failed to stand for their families and their kids, when the men kind of just sat aside and say, yeah, let's go along to get along, eventually the moms have started to see what's going on with their babies, and that their babies are getting attacked and their kids are being attacked, and it's through education, through, healthcare, through all these different things. They're going after our children. So then the moms, when they found out dad wasn't going to do his job and protect the family, mom stepped up in ways that nobody else could. And I'll tell you, a mama bear is something you don't want to screw with. So I'm very excited. I'm sad that I spend so much time not talking to men, because more men should be stepping up. But I'm very excited to talk to the moms, because y'all are warriors, right? And that's where I'm finding the best warriors. And they're not moms who were big shots. They're not moms who, had, 45 different degrees hanging on the wall and were known around the world, or they're moms who just said, hell no, you're not going to screw with my babies. You're not going to screw with my kids. I'll stand for them, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's, I'm going to lose friends, if I'm going to get unfriended on Facebook, if I'm going to get ripped. It's the mama bears, the warriors that I've really found. And man, I'm very excited about that. But the moms have figured that out before the dads did.
Yeah, that's sad to me. And I'm with you. I wish more men would speak up, and I'm praying and believing that as they see the women speaking up and they see what's happening, that they will want to join in and really fulfill their God-given role to protect the family.
Yeah. Yeah, very much. I've noticed that, women, I think in if we look at the traditional roles of men and women in families, everybody likes to think that you look at it as a secondary thing, but I view it a little bit differently. So, like in my family, I'm obviously not afraid to speak up or to fight or to stand or to do what I do. But, you can be king of your castle, but if the queen ain't happy, you're in big trouble. So, I don't think that there's anything wrong with an equal partnership. I don't think there's anything wrong with recognizing that you both have different roles to fill, husband, wife, that, families are different. And, I don't care how you do your family, but for me and for what I've found, I'm suited to do what I do. And so I do, but I couldn't do it without my other half. I couldn't do it without someone who's better at me at all the other things that, so it's just how we do it. But I don't pass any judgment. I do pass a little bit of judgment, though, on the men that are too afraid to stand.
Yeah, I think you're right. The women have had to, because the men have not done their job. But I wanted to ask you, Tom, was there a point in time in this journey where something happened that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for you, that made you stand up?
So literally, I was working on a master's in health science when COVID hit the news. And there's not a whole lot of diseases, things like that hit the news when you're studying health sciences. So what happened is I started looking at that and writing on it for my master's work. Everything that the media said about COVID was a lie. Like when you looked at the data and then you looked what the media was reporting, nothing was true. Nothing. So by the time we get to March of 2020, I'm like, this is a bad flu season at best, right? So two things occurred around that time. So first of all, we had the lockdowns, and they told me I don't do well with someone telling me that I can't do things. Like, don't tell me what I can't do. I'll do what I'm going to do, and you're going to deal with it because that's the way it is. So they told me I can't leave my house. I mean, the day that they told me that, I went out in my big V8 truck, rolled my windows down, and went for a drive. And I was just like, I'm going to contribute to global warming with my windows down, and anything I could do to annoy people. I'm just one of those guys. But then the other thing that happened is at the same time, I was like, I got to do something about this. And I got a client who was immediately post-op stage 4 cancer. But because of the lockdown, she couldn't actually leave to go for her follow-up appointment because it was out of state and she hadn't been established yet with her doctor. And I'm allowed to talk about this because we ended up having to go public with the case to put pressure from the press to make this all happen. But and God rest her soul, she's since passed. But the governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, who's a rhino to the 10th degree, he wouldn't make an exemption for her to leave the state or to get established with her doctors to take care of her cancer. Meanwhile, he's making all sorts of business exemptions from these lockdowns for his cronies and partners, but he wouldn't save her life. So I was like, okay, that tells me all I need to know about the Ohio Republicans. And it's not all of them. There were a few good ones that tried to help, but I was really unhappy with the one. So those two things kind of come together. And I sat in this very seat when that was happening, and I prayed literally, said, God, I feel like you want me to fight this. Feel like you want me to go. So you put it before me. I'll do my best to do it your way. And you got to understand something. I'm a broken sinner of a human being, right? Like, I'm not whatever a good person is. I don't know if I'm that. I try. And I'm grateful for Jesus and for forgiveness. Really grateful, because I need that, right? But I'm by no means a perfect man. I'm not even close. But God put it before me, and for whatever sins I make, I've never sold out or wavered one bit on that fight. I've held true to my promise to God to fight this the way He's asked. And because of that, we had no clients, we had no money, we had no platform, I had no connections. Fast forward 3.5 years, I still don't have money, but I do have connections, and I do have a platform, and I do have people. And we've made a difference. So we stayed true to Him. We followed his will on the fight to the best of my ability, to the very best of my ability. And in that, I have not failed so far. So I'm grateful for that. But that was the turning point.
And how have you handled the retaliation you've experienced?
Carefully. So, I mean, when they try and come after me, like as an attorney, which happens, that's something you got to be real careful with legally. On the personal side, I mean, we've had the death threats, we've had the buy-offs, we've had the we've had so many things. I mean, one of the things they tried to do is they tried to Kavanaugh me at one point. They had all these guys. They spent like 6 months trying to find dirt on me to try and take me out in the press. And they thought they would be able to find something and embarrass me into going away, right? Like, just make it so big, make everybody hate me so much that I'd go away. And, when you get groups like the Washington Post and these big international private investigative firms and all these different things, like they actually called the mayor of the town I grew up in, 3,000 people, called the mayor to find out if they could find any dirt on me from my childhood. They called a 19-year-old fry cook that worked for my brother at a local bar and grill place in Oak Harbor, Ohio, to try and get dirt on me. And when they couldn't find anything great, they found some people make some stuff up, and they just pulled anything that they could pull. And I mean, they did everything they could, but what they didn't count on was the fact that I have no pride. I don't care. I accept the fact that I'm broken. I'm not a perfect man. I don't even know, that to this day, oddly enough, and this stuff all happened probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. I've never read any of those hit piece articles. I just don't read it. I don't care, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that they can say that will make me waver from this fight. I don't care how much I have to lay. I never wanted my privacy to be gone, but it is. And part of the sacrifice that I made, and part of the agreement I made with God, was if I would do what He asked me to do to fight this, He asked me to give up something that I held very dear to me, my privacy. So I've had to lay my soul bare before the whole world, for good, for bad, for different, and I'm not perfect. And everybody gets to see that. And the bad guys can't wait to show people that. But what I've done is I've stood by my promise to God. I won't sell out on this fight. I'll keep doing right by the fight. And whatever I have to be, I hope I'll bear good fruit, because a good tree will bear good fruit. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to keep fighting. And so that's been what it is.
Well, I think that it's so impressive, because I think it's easy and really probably understandable when people quit, when they're canceled, and when they receive death threats, and they say to their family, this has just gone too far. I can't take this anymore. I don't want the death threats. I can't do it. And they fold. It's understandable. And I think it takes a unique person to stand no matter what. And as we talked before the show, I believe that you were made for such a time as this. Esther 4:14 says that, and it's in your DNA to be relentless and to fight and to not give up. And I believe that God is using a remnant of people who are already made that way to fight for such a time as this.
I agree. I mean, you've got to understand something. Yeah, at some point, we have, praise God, been, if not responsible, certainly had a large deal of impact on disrupting a multi-trillion-dollar plan to basically destroy and to take over people's health on a global basis. I mean, we fought the biggest and the baddest of the bad, and I'm a nobody. I mean, I don't have power. I don't have money. We fought them with the truth and with tenacity. That was it. And a little bit of bubble gum and duct tape on any given day. And it is hard. I mean, I'm going to tell you, it is painfully difficult on some days. I talked to a wonderful, wonderful woman this weekend when I was at an event, Jerry Perna. Her nephew is Matthew Perna, who the J6er who ended up taking his own life because of the hell that they've put him through. And, I told Jerry when I was talking to her, I say, this is a very tough fight. And for those of us that fight, and Clay, the Reawaken Tour, a lot of these people, we'll travel. And there's a certain amount of reliance upon each other and recognition. There's conversations that occur in these. We'll talk about what it means to be a warrior, what it means to fight this fight, and how lonely it is and how sad it is sometimes. It's not glorious. It's not glamorous. You're going to another hotel by yourself for another night. You're missing your family. You're out there, you talk to people, they clapped, you did what you could, but then you had to listen to 2 hours of the most horrible stories that these people have lived through imaginable. And you're so honored that they're telling you, and you're so honored to be there and so honored to help them feel good about the fact that someone cares and someone is fighting for them. But it's hell. It's tough. It's tough. The weight of the world sits on your shoulder in a lot of ways. And I'm just a guy from Ohio, for God's sakes. Who am I to have this? And I frequently sit there and I'll listen to people talking to me, and I know that I can do something about it. And I do everything I can to fight. But who am I? And it's like, how did I get to a point where God put me in a position? And so I just keep fighting. And I feel like if God gave me that obligation or that opportunity, he gave me an obligation as well, a responsibility. And so, but you keep fighting, and a lot of people have fallen. I've had a lot of good friends and good people who've fallen victim to either infighting or pride or exhaustion or too many death threats or too many this threat, or, they've lost too much money. And that's a thing, right? I mean, we spend most of our time fighting. I sent out my first legal bill in 2 years last month. Everything else I gave away from donations because it was right. I just couldn't afford to do it anymore. We got to start raising more money. But there's no, yeah, but look at you, make a whole bunch of money. Oh, but you get to jet set around this. And no, I fight like hell. The media beats you up and tells you you're some sort of a jerk for it. You get canceled everywhere. I mean, it's a tough road, but it's an honor to do it. So I don't mean to be whiny, because I'm not. I would do this. There's nothing going to get me to stop. But at the same time, I do very much understand the people who say, it's been too much. I just can't do anymore.
Yeah. And then I believe it's important to still use the voices of the folks who are standing, and still not, if they can't stand, then to support the ones who are standing. I wanted to transition a little bit. Since you are an attorney, I wanted to get your take on this. So we've seen a lot of issues with books in the library and things like that. And it can be so confusing for concerned parents when they see pornographic books in libraries, but then when they're read out loud at school board meetings, they're shut down and they're told that it's inappropriate. How do you, as an attorney, recommend that parents most successfully fight back?
So there's a lot of things in that. So the quick answer is not a quick answer. There is no quick answer. So there's state law, there's federal law, right? And I'm licensed in Ohio, so I can't tell you what to do in every state in the country. But what I can tell you is that there's always a solution, and things that need to be done. If we look at this, if I said to these kids, if I went up to a random kid on the street and talked to them like these books, I'd get arrested, and I should. These books are sick. The perversion, I've seen these books. I've read these books, and I'm big on kids. My kids are 10 and 13. Man, I'm going to tell you, you screw with my kids, I'll have your head. And there's not even a second thought, and I won't apologize for that either. I'm going to tell you what, that's the line. You screw with my kids or any kids, like I'm super protective of kids. These books are sick. It is absolutely sick. And it's an amazing thing, because to suggest that this is anything other than intentional is absurd. There's no question what's going on here. They're indoctrinating and sexualizing these children. We saw the UN document here not too long ago where they're pushing for normalization of pedophilia. And, you can see where they're going if you look. But I think what parents got to do is there's a couple things. But the most important is to understand what lawfare means. Okay, so lawfare is what I do. You're a lawyer, right? Well, yes, but lawfare is not what it's been defined to be. When we talk lawfare in the press, what everybody thinks of is the 300 lawsuits against Trump. You just keep filing and filing and filing and running them out of money until they're broke and until they give up and scream uncle. That's not lawfare. That's actually just unethical and a violation of most of your duties as an attorney. To me, the guys doing that should be disbarred. Lawfare, as I've defined it, and is what I've done with the COVID fight, right? The reason that we've been effective in the COVID fight, the reason nobody can have such a big impact. And part of lawfare, you don't have to be a lawyer for. Lawfare, I define as being legal political PR. And the reason for that is that what I do in the courts is at most 1/3 of what I do. What I mean by that is I use litigation. I'll file good faith litigation that's really well done to even if it's a hard case that may be difficult, as long as it's in good faith and I can file it ethically, I'll use that sometimes to help people to see what's happening. Because if I put it in court and I lie about it, I lose my license. So, I got to be honest when I'm telling the court what's going on. So that's a big deal. But when I fight these things, what you said is so important. You read it at a school board meeting and they'll throw you out. That's so powerful when that happens. And you've got to do it local, right? You've got to make it local. So what people don't know what's in these books. People don't know what's in their kids' libraries. You've got to get this word out, and you've got to get it publicly. You've got to go to your town council. You've got to go to your county commissioners. You've got to go to your local school boards, and you got to say, hey, this book's in the kids' school, and it's got this in it. Would you like me to read it? And make them squirm. And then the most important, but listen to them, right? So you listen to them and say, if they tell you, no, you got to stop reading. Okay, I'll stop reading. I want to ask what you're going to do about it before they throw you out before anything else, because you've got to get the, what are you going to do about it on record? And what you've got to do is you've got to use that PR. That's PR, right? That's educating the public. It's public relations. PR means public relations. And it's not just about selling something or doing something. It's about selling and sharing ideas. We're trying to relate to the public what they don't know. We're trying to educate the public. That's why I do so much media, because that impacts the courts and it impacts the politics. So anybody can do this. You don't have to be a lawyer to practice at least 2/3 of lawfare. Now, you may not be able to write legislation like I can. You may not be able to sue people, but you can certainly educate people and create political pressure. And every mom and dad can do that. So if you do that, if you get that stuff out, it becomes very untenable. And then you make sure you share it locally. Hey, we went to the school board meeting and we asked them about this book that's got this in there. And you don't have to make it controversial, right? You don't have to make it a Facebook post that they can censor you on. Say, hey, we talked about a book in the school library today, and it says it's titled this. I urge you to look it up because Facebook will censor me if I share what's in there. But I want you to know that this is in our kids' school library. And here's a video of the response from the school board when we asked them politely and professionally what they intended to do about it. By the way, they wouldn't let us read this book at the school board meeting because not only would it be censored on Facebook, but they were too embarrassed to let the book that they're allowing in the kids' library be read at the school board meeting. So things like that are very powerful. They go viral, especially locally in your community, and you got to target it local because you can make it viral locally, but you're going to be censored on a national level. So that's one of the big strategies I'd suggest.
I like that. And I like how it's a plan of attack with the understanding that you don't want to say it so that you don't get censored, but yet you're exposing. And that's what this all sounds like, is you're exposing the truth and you're using social media to do that. And we all can be PR people. We all have access to Instagram and Facebook, and we just need to use it and wield it as the appropriate weapon that it should be. And it should be a weapon of truth. And it's been used against us to propagandize us and to infiltrate our homes and our kids' minds with propaganda of lies. And we need to use it and indoctrinate people with the truth and use these same modalities that the enemy is using.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, I just finished, and I'm waiting for the publication date, but I just finished a book on the COVID stuff. And one of the chapters, I talk about the rules for radicals, and I talk about their tactics. And I say, well, how would you apply those if you were a decent human being? Because, that's obviously the book's dedicated to Satan. So, I mean, that's not targeted for decent human beings. I said, well, how do you do it? And so I talk about that in the book. And the thing about this is that we have to understand the tactics that the other side's been using. So we go from a constitutional republic that was founded by a group of people who were so mad about a tea tax that they started a revolution. I know there's more to it than that, but these guys were willing to die for freedom. They stood. Now, how do you go from that to I'm going to wear a mask because you're telling me that I need to wear a mask to protect you? And this doesn't even make sense, right? If a mask works, you wear it. I don't need to. But we somehow got from point A to point B. How'd that happen? Well, we have to look at the tactics that they've used, and then we've got to quit. The freedom side, the people who try to be good people. There's a certain reality that you've just got to come to terms with. We're fighting evil. If you go into a street fight and you fight good, clean boxing rules, you're going to get your butt kicked every time. The rules have changed. I talk to lawyers about this all the time. Why do you file cases so public? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Because the rules have changed. We're not doing, I just had a friend I talked to. He's an old school lawyer. He's been doing it for 30, 40 years, and he's super high end. Like, he's a big shot. He's an incredible lawyer, much better than I'll ever be, probably. He's just a brilliant guy. And I told him a few years ago, I was like, listen, because he told me I was doing everything wrong. I said, listen, you got to understand something. The rules have changed. It's like, no. The courts will never be corrupt. The courts will never this. The courts will never. He just got kicked out of court on something. And his people are getting, attacked and this, that, and other. And he says, man, I don't know what happened to the legal profession. I said, well, remember a few years ago when I told you that the rules changed? See, our side didn't get that memo. The other side changed the rules, but our side didn't get the memo. So what's happened now is we're in a position where we're trying to fight. We're basically going into a gunfight, and I don't even know if we have a knife. It's like we're going into a gunfight unarmed, and we're doing it wrong. We've got to be tough. We've got to be hard. And some of this stuff is stuff, I'll frequently joke and post and stuff. I should be better, but, and then I'll rip someone's head off. And that's true. I know, but God, we're at a point where, God needed a hitman. That's me, right? So I go after these guys. I hit them, and I hit them hard. And sometimes it's downright brutal. I mean, I say all sorts of awful things, but that's what they do, right? And I'm not saying that we should lower ourselves to their level on every case. Like, I will never sell out. I don't care about money. There's things that are off the table. But in the war, you can't let someone, rules for radicals, belittle your enemy, right? They talk about belittling your enemy because then they lose credibility. If you look at these guys and you look at them with awe and fear and this, that, and other, you're in trouble. Once I make fun of them,
well, I remember that's rule number 5. And it says to use ridicule. The exact word is to use ridicule, because that cannot be fought back with factually, and they can't fight back. And so I found that to be so powerful, so that when you are ridiculed, instead of, it's spiritually like when Satan attacks you, you go, okay, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get me to quit, but in Jesus' name, go. Or the Bible says it is written, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And so I believe when you know these rules and you can recognize the weapon, you can recognize what's happening, then you don't allow it to affect you, because you say, oh, you're using rule number 5. Got it. Okay. Not going to work here. And I think that's brilliant that you are including that in your book, because I think that's part of defeating your enemy, is to know your enemy's tactics. And we can talk to General Flynn. I'm sure in the military, you try to find out what the enemy's tactics are so that you can fight back accordingly. And logically. I mean, why would you not do that? And when you are in a war like this, it is on us. The onus is on us to find out the rules that they're using and how they're playing. And then you play by those rules, because if we keep playing by the old rules, we're going to get beat every single time.
Right. So, I mean, we use things like ridicule. Is it mean? Yeah, probably. Do I like it? No. Would I like my kids doing it? No. But here's the thing. We have a bunch of people fawning over guys like Bill Gates who are out there pushing to kill kids, essentially. And if someone doesn't say, hey, Bill, how about those man boobs? How are you going to tell me how to be healthy? Well, it's kind of a good point. Wait, so this fat turd over here is going to tell me how to be healthy? And that's horrible, right? That's a terrible thing to say, but it's also very accurate. So like, when I do this, I got two sides to it. So yes, I'll use things like ridicule, and that's harsh and it's mean and it's shocking for a lot of my Christian brothers and sisters. But we've got to take some of the glow off these people. Otherwise, they remain as powerful and as impervious as they were. So we've done that. But then the other side of it, though, and there has to be another side, is actually, and probably one of the most surprising parts of my work. A lot of people don't realize how big unity is for my work. Like, I do an immense amount of work reaching out. Like, I'm happy to talk to leftists. I'm happy to talk to people who disagree with me. Not out of like, if you'll talk to me from a position of mutual respect, I'm thrilled to do it, right? And I'm not going to rip you. I'm not going to be rude. I don't care how you live your life or what you do. Like, I'm just going to try and support you in finding truth. I'm going to share that truth. I'm going to share what I know. I'm going to try and help you. And I've done that, right? Like, I don't care, black, white, yellow, red, Christian, Muslim, Jew, gay, straight, somewhere in the middle. I don't care. For America, what we have to do is we have to preserve our freedom. And then for people, what we have to do is we have to let them see Christianity. Like, people, we can never legislate faith. We learned from the Crusades, nobody became Christian at the end of a sword. If you want to do, and Jesus didn't do that, right? When he saved the prostitute, he didn't say throw rocks at her. He said, he said, don't throw them. And then he said, sin no more. That's it. And then he modeled it. He modeled forgiveness. And then he said, yeah, maybe you shouldn't sin. And then so we have to learn, but we do that through our life and through how we live. We can't do it through legislation, because what they've done, what the left does, is they try and convince us, well, we need to legislate just this much on the faith side so that we can unlegislate on the faith side. And you either, there's no line, right? You can either legislate religion or you can't, and we need to keep it free And then we as Christians have to be strong enough to live it so that we can model it. But that's the unity side of this, is building and, recognizing, reaching out to people who are different from us, educating them about the truth and pulling them in. So on one side, you've got kind of the carrot, and on the other side, you got the stick, and you bring them together, and hopefully we can move some hearts and minds.
I completely agree with you. I was at a press conference with one of our local senators and our state superintendent calling out an issue, and the left was radically going off with their megaphones, just yelling and disrupting the whole, just what the Marxists would say to do, just what Solinsky would say to do as well. And I stayed and spoke with some of them after. Unbeknownst to me, all of the conservatives had left. I was alone, and I was talking with a gal, and we were walking to her car, and I told her, I said, I don't have to agree with what you're doing to love you. That's what God says, is that we are supposed to love, but love is telling the truth respectfully. And I don't have to condone what you're doing to be able to love you. And we had this great conversation on the way to our cars. And she said, no one's ever talked to me like this before from the right. And I'm not saying anything about me. I was just trying to have a conversation with her and to show her the love of Christ, but yet not condone what she's doing and saying, and speak the truth in love. And who knows where she is today on these issues. But I believe that what you're saying is so true, and that we as Christians, we need to rise up and to speak the truth. You have to know the truth. And I will say, I have gone back and I have read and studied a lot about the founding of our country, the Constitution, the amendments, and I've had to learn what they say so that I can speak intelligently to these issues. Because when you start questioning the education on the left, sometimes it's not super deep, and sometimes they don't really know our Constitution to be able to debate a particular issue. But I was very encouraged by that. And I think what you're saying, this unity and having dialogue is critically important. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but we are going to have you back on. We talked earlier about maybe doing a segment about health and wellness, and we're both very excited about that.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that next time. But Tom, I wanted to ask you, how can people support you and find you? I know that we talked about this earlier, and you did mention it here. I would love to just show your website a little bit, and how can folks find you, connect with you, and follow you?
Well, you can go to tomrenz.com. We do accept donations, and we've got a Give, Send, Go also on. If you search Renz Law on Give, Send, Go, it's right there. If you support our sponsors, that's a huge help. We've got a great Substack, and we hope people will share that and look at that. But, at the end of the day, I do hope people will. I hope they'll pray for us. The Give, Send, Go, the Renz Law Give, Send, Go is a great, great thing. And if you can if you go to Give, Send, Go, and you go to Renz Law and you sign up and you give us $20 a month, that's $5 a week, right? So that's 1 cup of coffee per week. The thing is like right now, there's so many suits, so many different things I could do. I just don't have the resources to do it. If 1 million people could give up 1 cup of coffee a week to support our fight for freedom, we would have been free years ago. But we just got to get 1 million people to do that. I mean, Soros's people are funded to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. We've got truth on our side, so I don't need hundreds of millions, but I also can't do it for free because I can't pay staff. I can't pay people. I've got to have enough to do it. I'll personally do it for whatever I got to do it for. But if you want me to have an impact, I got to have an army, and that means I got to be able to take care of my army. So we're hoping people will give.
Well, I think your actions speak louder than words when you have done all these lawsuits for free, and you said you just charged for your first one. I mean, they say actions speak louder than words, and I think you have proved your integrity and your willingness to fight for this cause. And you've proved that it's not about the money. It's about saving our country for our kids and these next generations that follow suit. So let's all do that today, and let's sign up. We can all, my goodness, we can all afford $20 a month to help save our country. And so I just want to thank you so much, Tom, for joining us today and for all that you're doing and sacrificing to save our country.
It's my honor. And I just pray that we can continue doing as much or more.
Yes. And we would love to hear from you. So we would love to hear any comments or questions. Just email us at moms@momsonamission.net. That's moms@momsonamission.net. You can also check us out on our website at momsonamission.net. And we would love for you to please follow us on your favorite platform. Rumble is our favorite right now because we are uncensored. And so if you'll just go to Rumble and click the follow icon, we would be so honored. And then if you liked and shared these episodes as well, that would be a true blessing. So thank you so much for listening today, and God bless. In light of recent bank volatility and skyrocketing inflation, diversification is a must. That's why I use my good friend Andrew Sorcini at Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Beverly Hills Precious Metals makes it so easy to diversify. I personally ordered some silver and it arrived on my doorstep just a few days later. They make it so easy. And if you're not ready to do that and you just want to ask a few questions, they're there for you too. I personally got some silver and also am rolling over some of my IRA. You can actually roll over your IRA and have it be backed by silver and gold. So if you don't have any extra money to invest in silver and gold, rolling over a 401k or an IRA, or even part of it, if you just want to try it at first, just for a little bit, you can do that as well. So go to bh-pm.com today and ask all your questions. You can connect with somebody. And like I said, you can just get some information at first if you want and pray about it, and then get back with them to roll over part of your IRA or all of it, or order some gold and silver. That's bh-pm.com. and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. Hey, everybody. Did you know that recent research from the CDC says that millions of Americans develop parasitic infections and symptoms often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed? Parasites are actually the cause of many health problems such as anxiety, depression, chronic pain, fatigue, and unexplained digestive issues. We all need a common sense strategy to improve our health. Moms on a Mission encourages you to reach out to our good friend, Dr. Jason Dean. Dr. Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all natural detoxification and fights inflammation. And the supplements are made with 100% organic ingredients and are proven to kill parasites safely and effectively. I know after I took Full Moon Protocol, I had more energy. To order your Full Moon Protocol today, go to bravetv.store/mission to save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. According to leading sleep experts and sleephealth.org, over 50 million Americans struggle getting a good night's rest. That's why Moms on a Mission loves MyPillow. MyPillow makes amazing pillows, sheets, mattress toppers, robes, towels, literally almost everything you need for a good night's sleep. They also make dog beds for your dogs. So by going to mypillow.com, typing in the code MISSION, you not only receive a high quality product, but you're supporting Moms on a Mission and this podcast. If you like what you're hearing and you agree with it, you believe in it, and you want to support Moms on a Mission, then go to mypillow.com today and order some high quality products and just type in the code MISSION at checkout and you can save up to 66% off. That's mypillow.com, code MISSION.
Since 2014, Organic Body Essentials has offered clean, simple, certified organic skincare. Our organic face-to-feet and federally compliant hemp and pet products are manufactured under USDA and FDA guidelines. Our products are inspired by God using plants He created. In Ezekiel 47:12, it says, "The fruit is for food and the leaves for healing." We believe in the power of God to heal, so we pray over our products and for our customers. Our therapy in a bottle approach has been widely received, and our customers' testimonials continue to inspire us. You can find us at organicbodyessentials.com and obe.organicbodyessentials.com. Please feel welcome to reach out with questions. Use coupon code MISSION at checkout for a discount. Thank you for your support by using MISSION at checkout to benefit Moms on a Mission and their quest to reestablish traditional values in our education system and empowerment for a healthy lifestyle.